Hi, friends. Today I'm sharing a new story with you. I hope you enjoy it. You'll need to wear this, my sister Vanessa said, tossing a butler's uniform onto my bed without even looking at me. The resort is short on staff, and since you work in hospitality, you can help out. I picked up the neat black uniform, keeping my face calm. She had no idea I didn't just work in hospitality. I owned Crystal Cove Resort and 12 other luxury hotels around the world. You want me to serve drinks at your wedding? I asked, trying to keep my voice steady. Well, it's not like you can afford to be a proper guest, Michael, she said, fixing her fancy dress in the mirror. Besides, Dad says it's good for you to remember your place. Some people serve, and some get served. I thought about the papers in my office that proved I owned the $300 million resort. I thought about the 200 employees who worked for me, and how Vanessa had begged for a last-minute wedding booking at my most exclusive resort. But she didn't know any of that. None of them did. 10 years ago, I left our family's investment firm to follow my dream of working in the hotel business. A disgrace. My father called me. No son of mine will be a bellhop. But I never wanted to carry bags. I wanted to change the luxury hotel world completely. While they looked down on service workers, I was learning how everything worked, finding problems and fixing them, which made me rich in the end. The wedding starts at 6, Vanessa said, looking at her phone. Be there at 4 to help set up. And Michael, she finally looked at me. Don't embarrass me. These guests are very important. I almost laughed. Those important guests were my regular clients, famous CEOs, celebrities, and politicians. They knew me as Michael Chen, the private owner of Crystal Cove Resorts. They had no idea I was the bride's brother. I'll do my best, I said calmly. After she left, I sat at my desk and opened my laptop. The wedding booking was still on the screen. Vanessa had nearly cried when she begged me for a venue after hers canceled. Crystal Cove usually books 2 years ahead, but I made an exception. Your family name carries weight, my events manager had told her, just as I planned. Mr. Chen approved it personally. She thought it was because of our family's name in finance. The truth was far more ironic. My phone buzzed. A text from my assistant, David. Everything's set for tomorrow. Staff briefed and sworn to secrecy. Are you sure about this? I remembered all the family events where I sat at the kids' table, even as an adult. I thought of all the times my father introduced me with a smirk as the family's hospitality expert, and how Vanessa always treated me like the family failure. Absolutely sure, I replied. Make sure the uniforms are ready. The next morning, I arrived at the resort through the staff entrance, carrying the butler uniform. My team, who actually worked for me, played along. They treated me like a new employee and showed me where to store my things. Mr. Chen, my head of security whispered as I passed. The cameras are ready. We'll capture everything. I gave a small nod. I didn't want revenge. I just wanted a memory. A reminder that sometimes big lessons come in small, quiet ways. The resort was in full wedding mode. The ballroom was filled with flowers that cost more than most cars. Crystal chandeliers sparkled above, and the staff moved smoothly, getting everything ready for the evening. Around noon, my father arrived, shouting instructions like he owned the place. I watched from behind a service door as he complained about the champagne. Funny, since it was the same kind he served at his own parties. Don't you have anything better? He snapped at the sommelier. This is a Crawford family wedding. Do you even know who we are? The sommelier, who definitely knew who I was, stayed calm. I'll check with management, sir, he said politely. Then my mother showed up, stressing over every little thing with the wedding planner. She walked past me twice and didn't recognize me at all, her own son, standing there in a butler's uniform. By 4 p.m., the guests began arriving. I recognized most of them, not just as family but as clients. There was the CEO who booked my Maldives resort for his anniversary, the media boss who held meetings at my Swiss hotel, the tech billionaire who once joked he'd buy Crystal Cove Resorts without knowing he was talking to its actual owner. Michael. Vanessa's sharp voice broke my thoughts. Stop standing around. The guests need drinks. I picked up a silver tray of champagne glasses and moved through the crowd, just like my staff always did. People took glasses without even looking at me, just like my family had ignored me for years. My cousin Peter, who had just become a partner at his dad's law firm, snapped his fingers at me. "Hey, you. More ice at table 3. I held back a smile. He had recently asked to handle legal work for Crystal Cove Resorts. I had my office send him a polite rejection. All night, I stayed in my role. I served drinks, cleared plates, and kept quiet. But I was watching, listening, noting every rude comment and snide look. As the wedding ceremony was about to start, I knew the moment was getting close. Soon, they would all learn what knowing your place really meant.
My phone buzzed again.
A message from David. "The signs are ready. On your signal." I replied with one word.
"Wait."
Because like great service, the best surprises are all about timing. The ceremony ended, and the party was in full swing. Vanessa looked stunning in her fancy dress, walking through the room like she owned it. I kept serving, quiet and unseen, but I saw everything. "I can't believe you booked Crystal Cove Resort," one of her friends said. "It's impossible to get a last-minute spot here." Vanessa smiled proudly. "Well, you know how it is. The Chen family name carries weight. They practically begged us to have the wedding here." I had to hold in a laugh as I poured more champagne. She wasn't wrong about the Chen name, just very wrong about which Chen made it all happen. "Michael." My father's sharp voice cut in again. "Stop wasting time and bring more wine to the head table. And don't spill it this time." I hadn't spilled a single thing all evening, but that didn't matter. I picked up a fresh bottle of $1,000 wine, the one I personally selected, and walked toward the family table. "You know," my father said to his business friends, "it's probably good Michael ended up in service. Keeps him humble. Not everyone is made for real success." The men laughed, sipping wine from the crystal glasses I had imported from Venice. My mother gently touched his arm. "At least he's working," she said, like that was the best anyone could expect from me. Better than Timothy, who still lives in his parents' basement. I checked my watch. Almost time. "Hey, Butler," Peter shouted, snapping his fingers again. "Tell management we need better music. This playlist is amateur hour." Peter scoffed. I smiled inwardly. I had designed that playlist myself, a selection of classical pieces performed by the London Symphony Orchestra, which I personally sponsor. "Of course, sir," I said smoothly. "I'll speak to the owner right away." Vanessa laughed. "Good luck. Mr. Chen never shows his face. He's probably some old recluse who has no idea what's even happening in his own hotel." That was my cue. I pulled out my phone and sent one word to David.
"Now."
The crystal chandeliers dimmed. Massive screens lit up around the ballroom. First, the Crystal Cove Resort logo appeared. Then came the message. "Welcome to Crystal Cove Resort." A message from the owner. The room fell silent. My father frowned. "What is this?" Images filled the screen. Me, signing the purchase contract, cutting the ribbon in Dubai, accepting the Luxury Hotel of the Year award. In every photo, the truth was undeniable. Michael Chen, owner and CEO. Crystal Cove Resorts International. Silence. Stunned faces. Champagne glasses frozen midair. I removed the butler jacket, revealing a perfectly tailored Tom Ford suit. "Actually," I said, raising my voice just enough, "Mr. Chen is well aware of everything happening in his hotels." Vanessa's glass slipped from her hand and shattered. My father went pale.
Peter choked on his wine.
That's not possible," Vanessa whispered. "Would you like to see the deed?" I asked. "Or the financial reports? Everything's in perfect order." "You own Crystal Cove Resorts?" my father asked, barely audible. "All 13 properties," I confirmed. "The first one is special. It's where I learned what true hospitality means, something this family never quite understood." The screens shifted again, drone shots of our resorts across the globe, the snow-capped Alps, the Maldives' pristine beaches, Singapore's glittering skyline. "While you mocked my career," I said, "I was building an empire. One now worth more than Crawford Investment Group." That landed hard. My family's pride, the company my father had built his life around, was now second to mine. "Why didn't you tell us?" my mother asked softly. "Would you have believed me?" I said. "You called it a disgrace. Said no son of yours would work in service." I smiled. "And you were right about one thing. I don't work in service. I reinvented it." David appeared beside me with a tablet. "Mr. Chen, the governor is on line 1. Should I tell him you're with family?" Gasps spread through the room. Yes, the same governor who called me the help earlier was now waiting for me. "Michael." Vanessa stepped closer. "I didn't mean we didn't know." "No," I replied. "You didn't. You never looked past the uniform." I turned to the guests, many of whom were my clients. "Please enjoy the rest of the evening. The reception has been extended on the house." I smiled. "Though I'm afraid I'll no longer be serving drinks myself." A ripple of laughter moved through the crowd, nervous, but genuine. My father stood slowly, straightening his tie like he was preparing for a business meeting. "Son, maybe we should talk. Privately."
Of course, I said.
"My office is just upstairs. You might remember it. You said the penthouse suite was too extravagant when you checked in yesterday." The irony stung. He'd spent half an hour complaining about my own office, without knowing where he stood. As the music resumed, the energy in the room had changed. The whispers were everywhere. "He owns everything? The whole chain? And they made him serve drinks?" Later that night, when the guests had left and Vanessa had retreated to her honeymoon suite, one I quietly upgraded despite everything, I stood in my office, looking out over the ocean. David entered with the event report. "Your family seems quieter than usual." "Perspective will do that," I said, remembering Peter's mumbled apology and my mother's watery eyes. "Are you telling them about the new hotels?" he asked. "The space tourism project?" I smiled, glancing at the contract on my desk. Crystal Cove was about to launch the first luxury zero-gravity resort. "Let's save something for the next reunion," I said. Good hoteliers always know how to encourage repeat visits. My phone buzzed. A text from Vanessa. "Can we talk tomorrow?" I replied. "Of course. You're booked for breakfast at the Oceanfront Bistro." I own that, too. Sometimes, the best service is respect. I turned back to the view, my resort, my world. And I thought of the butler's uniform still draped over the chair behind me. It had been worth it. To wear it one last time. To show them that dignity isn't about what you wear. It's about who you are. The sun dipped low over the sea, painting the sky in gold. Tomorrow would bring new deals, new dreams, and maybe a few reconciliations.
But tonight?
Tonight, I serve the truth. Not cold, but with class, elegance,